we are getting ready to play Calico. Sarah, are you excited?
I am excited. We kickstarted this game and we've been waiting for it for a little while, and it has been arriving at backers' doors and in friendly local game stores like over the last 2 weeks or so. And every time I've seen a picture of it on someone's table, or we even saw it in a friendly local game store at one point, I've been like, I can't wait for our copy. And it showed up yesterday. So we're gonna sit down and play it today, and I am looking forward to it. We read through the rules, so I think we know what we're doing. Fairly simple, well, the rules are fairly simple. I think the puzzle is gonna be quite challenging. So we'll see. I really like the little cats. They're so cute, and this isn't even all of them. This is just the ones they recommend for a beginner game, which is what we're gonna play today because we've never played before. And we even got a little black cat promo, a set of black cat promo tokens, because we backed the Kickstarter and that was one of the things for Kickstarter backers. And I'm super excited about that because we have a black cat and he is my all-time favorite cat ever, forever. So it's neat to have the little black cat, and he looks a lot like my cat too. So that's cool. So yeah, we're gonna try it out. We're gonna see, and I guess probably we'll get back to you in the middle of the game.
Somewhere in the mid game.
All right, sounds good.
We'll get back, and because the way you, let's take you guys over real quick. The way you win or end the game is you have to fill up both players have to fill up their entire boards.
We're making like a quilt. So we're going to be taking, I'll show you mine. We're going to be taking these quilt pieces here, and there's other ones too. There's lots of different colors and patterns and stuff like that. We're going to be taking these quilt pieces and placing them on the board to create this quilt. And we're attempting to attract different cats to come take a nap on our quilt. Or we're trying to design the quilt so that we can earn buttons, which we can put on our quilt as well. And all of that earns extra points. So it should
Awesome.
be interesting.
Yep. All right. We'll get back to you guys in a bit. Bye. Mid-game.
It's mid-game in our first game of Calico. We are attempting to design and make these quilts. It's a tile drafting and placement game where you're trying to sort of match different colors or symbols or that kind of thing as you create your quilt. And if you can do that optimally, you'll score points. So this is my quilt, and a little bit more than halfway through the game. So I've attracted a few kitties. I've sewn some buttons onto my quilt. Those are all worth points at the end of the game. And I'm trying to flesh out certain parameters, like for example, it's my turn to place a tile. So when I place a tile, I'm going to get to draw back up, and I'm going to take this tile right here, and I'm going to put it here on my next turn. And when I do that, then I'm going to meet the requirements for this little gray kitty coconut, and he's going to come and live on my quilt, and that'll be worth 7 points at the end of the game. So it's fairly simple. It's just on your turn, you place a tile from your hand. You only have 2, so there's not a ton to think about. Well, there is a lot to think about, but there's only 2 tiles, so you can't have massive AP. And so you select a tile from your hand, you place it anywhere on your board where there's an open space, and then if you meet the conditions to get a button or a cat, then you get to place a button or a cat on your quilt. And then that's it. You end your turn by drawing back up, and then that's all. Then it's the next player's turn. You get the buttons by having 3 or more of the same color. So for example, like here where I managed to get this button, I have 3 pinks all together. Here I have 3 blues, etc. And so you get the buttons by having 3 or more adjacent tiles of the same color. And if you can manage to get a button of every color, you also get a special button. So those are all worth points at the end of the game. And then the cats themselves, the cats are colorblind, and they're colorblind in real life as well. So they do not see the color, they just care about the pattern on the piece of the quilt. And each cat has different requirements for which pattern they like the best and where they want to sleep on the quilt. So, for example, this little kitty right here, Tibbet, I think his name is, or her name, she likes to rest on the stripes and these sort of flowered spaces here. So I have 4 of these striped quilt pieces, so she came and paid me a visit. So if you can manage to get the patterns in the way that the cats like, and then the colors to get yourself a button, all while still trying to work around these tiles right here, which, for example, this one is for all of the surrounding tiles. If you can have every tile be a different color, you get 10 points, different color or a different pattern. But if you can do both, that they're different color and a different pattern all the way around, you get 15 points. This one is 3 of the tiles have to be the same color or same pattern, and then 3 of the other tiles have to be a different, but for those 3, they have to be the same. And then this one here is you need 3 pairs of different colors or patterns. And again, if on any of these, you're able to achieve this condition in both the color and the pattern, then you get the higher number of the points. So a few different ways to earn points. Lots of puzzle for like how you should place your tiles and things like that. But pretty simple overall, I think.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty simple. So this is like where I've got going on so far with my little placement and what I've worked with. So it's pretty interesting. The back of these cats have different, like, kind of like a level up of trying to get.
So like on this side, it just needs to be any 5 adjacent tiles, but here they actually want their pattern to be in a specific orientation on the quilt. And these are randomly placed at the beginning of the game. So these 2 just happen to be what goes with this particular kitty. So if we were able to make, 4 in a row of either one of these, then you'd score 7 points for that. But we're playing on this side.
Yeah, that's kind of like the beginner side. So yeah, this is kind of mid game. We'll get back with you guys, and we will see who's the winner of Calico.
You have 2 buttons and 2 cats.
I do.
And I have 3 buttons and 2 cats. But I think you might be doing better. I
don't know.
Maybe, we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
We'll see.
I feel like I got some nice combinations going, but I don't know. This game wouldn't surprise me if it was like a gotcha at the end, type thing.
And you can hate draft in this if you really wanted to, but to me, I'm more concerned about getting what I need to finish my parameters on my quilt than trying to keep things away from you.
Yeah. As Sarah said AP earlier, for those that don't know, it's analysis paralysis, so it's kind of like taking your time, really, 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 really taking your time with your turn in a game. But in this, it's kind of like, you can hate draft, but if you hate draft, that's where I feel like analysis paralysis will be like more prevalent, because you really have to think on someone else's turn, which is kind of like, I just want to take my turn. Like, it's got that solitary game feel where you don't really have that much player interaction. I think you don't really have, except to hate drafting, but then again, still, you're taking all that time to think about someone else's thing. So we'll get back with you guys in a little bit and see who wins Calico. Maybe it's me, maybe it's not. Who knows? Woo! Bye.
It's your turn.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
How did your scoring go?
It went. I scored 37 points. Nick scored 51 points. So he crushed my face. And he did that primarily. We were pretty close on everything except
tiles.
He had 2 of
I got
tiles.
I got 2 of my 3 tiles completed, and you only had 1.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, bless you.
Excuse me.
If you got that 10.1, it would have been. I might have still won,
Yeah, so
but the game would have been a lot closer.
I had this one I completed, but only in the patterns, not also the colors. So I only got 7 points from here. And then for this one right here, I was trying to do it with the different colors, but this was the last tile that I placed, and that screwed me up because then I had 2 of the same. And then this one over here, same thing. If I could have had If this could have been a green flower symbol like this, that might have been more helpful. I don't know, because then I also didn't score this one either. So yeah, it's tricky. It's pretty tricky to get
feel
like
like
the
this
optimal.
This is kind of like a filler puzzle game.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely filler level. But the puzzle of trying to optimally place your tiles so that you can achieve everything you want to achieve points-wise, I think is pretty tricky. But it's definitely
gets tricky towards the end. Like, you're really like, well, if I don't get this right piece, then I'm just going to get screwed. And, like, towards the end, I just had that where some of my tiles were coming out, and I was like, man, if I could just get one more different color, I would be like, or one more different pattern, I could do this.
It's interesting. The supply that you draw from at the end of your turn is 3 tiles. There are 3 available tiles, and you choose one of these. And it specifically says in the instructions that you are not to blind draw from the bag, which means that if I didn't like any of these, I could just take my chances with whatever comes out of the bag.
Yeah.
I don't know why they are so adamant about that.
Is it maybe like some kind of variant in the future? Or?
I don't know. I didn't read the variants, and I didn't replay the beginner game, so I only read the rules for that. I would say that for me, I would house rule it so that you can blind draw. Because sometimes I don't need any of these 3 things. So then you're like, okay, well, I can't draw anything but something I don't need. So...
Yeah, but then, like, I don't know. I feel like within playtesting, you might just, like, it might have... they might have tested it, and it might have been like, well, now they've spent 6 turns just blind drawing. And
if that's the case, which I'm not saying it is, but if that's the case, then they should have addressed that in the design, because that's a problem. So if they said you cannot blind draw because then that's all anybody would do, they have a problem in their design. However, I'm not saying that's necessarily the case. This is our first game. We only played the beginner level.
There's still like variants, and
we still don't know.
We can still mix things up. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like when it puts you in a constraint of doing something, you could, I don't know,
Nick is willing to trust the designers, that they've done their homework, that they've done their play testing, that they know what they're talking about, and you shouldn't blind draw. I am not necessarily willing to do that.
Well, I feel like we haven't played everything, we can't say for like 100% that we're like, okay, the designer should have entered like the blind drawing.
I agree.
And I already know that, you know, you can see the potential for the benefits of blind drawing, and how, you know, maybe this would be a little more fun. We would have a little more fun doing it, but I don't know. I do trust the designers that, you know, again, they do their homework. Well, I hope they do their homework, and not saying they didn't. Again, I wasn't there for all the playtesting.
We also don't know everything about the game.
Exactly.
We just played the beginner level. We've only played 1 game.
There's a solo variant too, which could be interesting as well, but I mean...
I think that if we fully understand everything included in the box, not just the beginner level stuff, but all of it, and I still don't see a reason why I can't blind draw out of the bag, I'm going to house rule it that we can blind draw out of the bag. Because like I said, there's 3 tiles available, but you can look and say, this is not going to work within my puzzle. This is not going to work within my puzzle. This will only work if I'm willing to break a rule or something like that. So if none of these are desirable to me at all, like I really, really actively don't want to take one, then I think I should be allowed to blind draw and just take what I get. Now, because we haven't explored the entire game, maybe there's a reason you can't do that. Maybe there's a reason that they're so adamant that you cannot blind draw. But if we explore all the content, we find that there isn't, according to me, then I'm going to house rule it that you can.
But yeah, so other than that, nice little filler game. I feel like it gets, if you want a little puzzly filler game, I feel like there isn't, and I could be wrong about this, but in my opinion, there's not too many puzzly fillers.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of a nice, like, puzzly filler. It's not like, okay, so I just finished coming home from work, and this wasn't a terribly intense game to, you know, teach or have you teach me. And, you know, it wasn't like we're burning our brains. it was kind
It
of
was
like,
pretty quick too. I think
Yeah.
once you fully understand how to play and
especially
what you're looking for, and stuff
we're
like that,
playing
it's
at two
pretty
players
quick.
too,
Yeah.
so it's like,
It's pretty quick.
Okay.
I go, you go. I go, you go.
yeah,
It's lovely.
yeah. Look at, I mean,
It was fun to, and I took
nice-
I took my buttons and my cats off my quilt and stuff like that. But it was nice to like have the quilt develop over time. All the different patterns and colors and things like that are really nice. And putting the cats on the quilt is really cute. There's some really cute little cats. And then I liked the buttons. You collect a button if you manage to get 3 or more of the same color. So like here I've got 4 purples right here. So I got to put a purple button on here.
but you only need 3.
Yeah, you only need 3. I just happen to have the 4th. So here would have even qualified me for the button. So I got to put a button here. And then like elsewhere, I got to put buttons on as well. And I thought that was a fun little sort of a side note that I would have liked time to pursue more. Because if you're able to get a button of every type, then you get a special button as well. And all of the buttons that you earn, including the special button, are worth 3 extra points each at the end of the game. So that was kind of a fun little, like, if I can, I'll also collect the buttons. And that was neat as well. I think, honestly, even though the cats are worth more points than the buttons, it was almost more interesting to me to try to collect different colored buttons. Maybe because it was a little bit easier for most of the buttons than for the cats. But I did like that part. I thought that was kind of a fun extra little thing you could do if you wanted to.
It might be even cool too to see maybe in the future, I don't know, anything, what they have plans for any additions or expansions for Calico. But so we got a square mat, square play area. I wonder if they'd ever like make a circle play area or like an epic play area. So it's like a bunch, they add more tiles or
Ginormous quilt.
yeah, a ginormous quilt. Still same shapes for the
That would be an intense puzzle.
That would be like a little bit like, see, like with that simple, bigger area, would that burn your brain, or would it just be like,
There's a few areas with the setup, they tell you where to put these tiles, and there are 6 of these, I think, and you only ever play with 3. So this is the recommended starter setup. But these 3 tiles are placed at particular points in the game. So you always put this here, and you always put ones here as well. So I think there was, and the way that the puzzle works is that all of the adjacent pieces around this piece are what determine if you can score this or not. So that's going to be, for this one here, it's going to be these. For this one here, it's going to be these. And then for this one here, it's going to be these. So that does leave you a little bit of room, kind of in the corners and along the edges and stuff like that, to put tiles that don't necessarily have anything to do with the scoring parameter here. And I think if we're gonna play again right away, what I would do this time around is I would try to build up around these tiles first and leave those sort of dead spaces. They're not dead spaces, but they can function as dead spaces if you need them to. So I would use the valuable spaces around the scoring pieces here to try to get as much of that locked in as I could. And then if I had, because you only ever have 2 tiles in your hand, so if I had a tile in my hand that wasn't going to fit into that somewhere, then I know that I can dump it down here somewhere and it doesn't affect the scoring of these. I kind of filled in those free spaces, air quotes, a little too early, and then I ended up having to put something into one of these spaces here, and then it ended up costing me the ability to score that tile. So I think if I was going to do it again, I would try, like I said, to actually build up right around these tiles first, and then when I got to a situation where what I have in my hand isn't going to work for any of that, then kind of dump it off to the side. But there's so many different ways to score different points and different tile configurations and stuff like that, that you want to be strategic even with those ones that you're dumping. Because like down here, this I was able to score, like I said, I was able to score one of those buttons for this space here. And then this one right here, I was close to being able to score a cat right here. If I would have been able to get one more set of the stripes, I could have scored a cat here as well. So there's a lot there's a lot that could be going on if you want there to be. But it's pretty, and it was fairly quick. Like we said, it was just kind of back and forth. And I think aside from the puzzly nature of it, it's pretty simple. Yeah.
It's pretty simple, beautiful art. Like, it's pretty. It's a pretty game.
It's got that Sobel artwork. There is a black cat promotional tile that came with ours because we kickstarted it. And this little guy looks so much like my kitty. It makes me so happy. My cat is a black cat with green eyes, just like this little guy here. And I'm happy to see a black cat in the game. Black cats are my favorite.
All right. Well, that was Calico. And hope you guys enjoyed this little vlog of us playing it. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.